down and huge waves covering over certain areas and things like that. And you know, they don't even want to look at it. They don't want to know about it, and it's really distressing them. But they're reoccurring. They're having them over and over and over again, and they're gifted, but they don't have any place to express themselves.
Well, and they have to be shown, because once the changes, you know, the big changes kind of get underway, they're the seed. They're the seed to repopulate. You know, and I wonder if, you know, all of the abductions that have gone on, you know, that's a different set of seed. You know, a different genetic library or profile that isn't leaving this planet, leaving it for good. And, you know, the remnants that are left behind, you know, and there's absolutely going to be a genetic upgrade. And I wonder if those people that aren't sharing those visions and being shown those things, you know, aren't going to be participants in that genetic upgrade, or maybe we shouldn't even call it upgrade, but restoration.
I think maybe they already have, you know, been upgraded. You know, it's we've seen that. I've seen that over and over again, where you'll see a family and there'll be like 4 kids in the family, and maybe 2 of them are, you know, one family. I won't mention any names, but you know, it's a Mexican family, and 2 of their kids are blonde-haired, blue-eyed, have white orbs around their heads, you know, and the other 2 are very dark-skinned and dark hair, you know. So it's real obvious when you look at this. You go, you know, and then the parents start talking about missing time and being taken and going to bed and find themselves back in bed, tucked in. The sheets are all tucked in around them when they were never tucked in before, and all their jewelry taken off and set on the nightstand, and they don't remember any of it. And it's real interesting when you hear the stories and then you look at the kids. You go, this is undeniable. This looks, you know, real strong. And the girl is very tapped into the Pleiadian energies and very connects with the Pleiades system. And it's obvious that there was some kind of an upgrade that happened there. Yeah, exactly. Your daddy's from the stars, you know.
So, and he likes the Earth women.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, you know, you see what came out of it. It's pretty awesome, you know, that what came out of that experience. But go ahead.
You know, they're just bodies. You know, they're beautiful thing, but they're bodies. They're bodies to, you know, to house a consciousness, an awareness, a soul. You know, and this model has served us well. But this is not the be all end all. This is not the latest and the greatest. You know, there are beautiful things coming. They really are. And you know, if we have to leave our bodies to participate in a new physical expression, then so be it. You know, and we all need to be very comfortable with the continuity of life, regardless of a physical body. That's something we need to come to terms with.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt about that, and I'm fully aware of many of my other reincarnations. But you know, this time I want to take the body with me. I want to ascend it, you know, take it up so I can come back and not have to come back in diapers and pick up a new ego and personality and have to deal with that again.
Yeah, a whole other set of karmic lessons to work your way through. It's just that first grade gets me every time. It's like, being a child.
Have to wake up all over again, you know, and hopefully make a good choice. You know, my next parents are not going to be on this planet, that's for sure. If I leave this body, I've already set it up. I'm going somewhere else.
Bragger.
But yeah, no, actually, I love the Earth. I totally love the Earth. I would love to come back and see a whole and healthy planet and people living in harmony with each other and nature, and that's been my focus. Actually, is to create a template here that people could come and learn and experience, and then go off and build their own template.
You know, and at the same time, this experience, this last 6,000 years, has been an incredibly rich experience for so many individuals. You know, we've been here many times, and you know, our oversoul probably has an incarnation present or two, you know, continuously through this cycle. And you know, so we've gathered up a wealth of wisdom, I would hope. You know, and it just kind of feels like to me that quote unquote harvest this time, or those that get to evolve beyond the school, isn't going to be huge, but I think it'll be a pretty sweet graduating class, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
there's so many different classes going on, too. I'm seeing, you know, there are people that are totally plugged in with the Star Nations, and they'll have their experience, and, you know, there's people that are going to ride things all the way through, and there's people that are going to take the downward spiral all the way into total collapse, and that's the way they've chosen to learn their lessons, you know, as an eternal being. So, you know, I asked about the changes once, and they said that there's as many realities unfolding as there are people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the gift of it all. And we've got an eternity to work it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's nobody ever left behind, and nobody's ever going to hell forever. That's just such a sorry illusion to live in.
Yeah.
You know, that the Father isn't much more kind and loving and considerate and beautiful than you know, what most of us were raised with. You know,
yeah, I heard the Montauk program. What they did, they went back in time and they cut down the apple tree. So the biting that apple didn't put us in original sin, so we can all relax now.
Oh, I thought they just planted a peach tree instead.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Or was it an avocado? Yeah. Oh, goodness. You know, before we get too deep out of time, I want to mention one of my other projects, because, you know, with the weather and you know, all of the fear that can surround, you know, the conspiracy aspect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you look up and you see that crap in the skies, and you're like, oh, you know, I from about 2008 through a good chunk of 9, I stepped back from that work because I just didn't want to participate in the creation of fear for people.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do that. You know, and I backed away from David Icke, you know, 8, 9, 10 years ago, because he was so deep into the reptilians. And I'm like, I don't need that in my head. Now, it doesn't mean it isn't true. I just don't need that in my head.
Yeah.
And, you know, so the spirituality and the consciousness aspect and trying to expand that has always been, you know, a core part of you know, the reason for living. You know, you kind of become a seeker at some point. You know, you're looking. There's this. It's like the salmon going upstream. There's something, you know, you're going to find you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And I met a person last year, and he introduced me to, you know, something called Ormus. And you know, it was all about, well, in old times it was called the mana, or the milk and honey. Mm-hmm. And when you come to understand the physics and the quantum nature of how it works, you know, like, holy cow, why doesn't everybody have this? Because, you know, it's elements in the monoatomic state released from the salt crystal that you take into your body. These elements then become gold, platinum, silver, rhodium, iridium, whatever your body needs in the quotient it needs because of its quantum nature. It can become. And then cell by cell, chromosome by chromosome, it opens a channel to its counterpart that resides in your energy body or your light body. Mm-hmm. And so it begins to establish that connection. So if you're after more lucid dreamings, it's there. Because what more could anyone want to connect to than to themselves? You know, that's where you're going to get the truest and highest guidance, is from that greater aspect of yourself. You know, it's not, you know, a channel or something that comes in from another personality, but it comes in from that greater aspect of you. And as those trillions of channels are open to you, as your cells begin to replicate, because out of our adult male bodies, we have about 70 to 100 trillion cells. And this morning, you and I woke up needing to replace 300 billion of them. And most of them are red blood cells. Mm-hmm. And as you begin to Right now, what they do is simply copy themselves. They clone, and they carry all of the mistakes and errors of our lifetime with them, and pass that on to the next generation. But with this Ormus, then, that microtubule opens up, and information from your light body comes through when that cell, whatever cell it is, needs to copy itself. And it says, holy cow, this is what I'm supposed to look like. And you manifest the cell from that accurate template that resides in the light body. And as you open these channels, there's a steadiness, there's a stillness, there's a depth to your being that you begin to experience that you haven't had, that you haven't been able to enjoy except in fleeting moments in deep meditation. And you begin to be able to live that. And as we go through the changes in our personal, family, and then as countrymen, as we go through these changes, having that depth of being is going to be a beautiful place to be able to live your life from. And
I agree 100%. I know there's a lot of technologies now that are creating a communication between some people call it the blue body, the etheric body, or your whole and healthy perfect self, back to the physical body, to the cells and organs and everything else. And this sounds like one of those technologies.
It's all information. It's just all information, and I had discussions with Bill Teller, who was on, down the rabbit hole, what the bleep do we know? And, all of that information that we can pull from our etheric bodies. And if you can do it with any tool, any modality, you're ahead of the game. You're ahead of your neighbor, because then you're not taking, quote unquote, medicine to try to fix the symptoms. You're actually going in and bringing in that proper template of how you were meant to be, how you were designed to be, and that just allows for some rapid evolution of your person. So
yeah, I'd love to get some of that to play with it.
I can arrange that.
Now, if people want to get this, can they get that through your website?
Absolutely. They can get it from either weatherwars.info or bluewateralchemy.com. And, we try to have it priced so anybody can afford it.
Right.
In the olden times, it was made from salt, and salt was precious, and it was the priesthoods and the royalties that were privy to an alchemist on staff, if you will, and the quantities of salt that it would require. And, every salt has its different ratio of elements, whether it's Himalayan salt or Dead Sea salt or Celtic salt off the coast of France. Each salt is different. And so there's different effects from each of those different salts. But, rhodium and iridium are huge for genetics. And we're talking about the evolvement of the human race. And if you can have these monoatomics in your DNA, when the etheric body begins to go through that evolvement, then it becomes much, much easier for the physical body to then manifest the proper additional new strands of coding that are coming to Earth. And so it's like plowing and planting the seed and waiting for it to happen.
It's interesting, when the dinosaurs were taken out, basically there's a big, thick layer of iridium, laid out. So you start thinking, wait a second, maybe they did plow and then reseed again,
Oh, absolutely. It's time for a new garden. It's time for